Hey, what's going on, Grey Goat Creative Family? Hey, listen, today we have a very special guest with us, Dan Curran. Dan is a Chick-fil-A owner here in this area, and he does incredible business. He's one of the most successful Chick-fil-A owners on the East Coast, and he's getting ready to drop some gold for you today. So grab a pen, grab a piece of paper, whatever you need to take notes. Get ready to listen to what Dan is about to drop for you, and I promise you, you're going to get so much out of this today. So get ready. Enjoy this interview with Dan Curran. Hey guys, we're so glad to be with you today. Today we have the privilege of having Dan Curran with us. And Dan Curran is an incredible Chick-fil-A business owner. He's got so much experience in the business world, and we're just so excited to have you today with us, Dan, just answering a few questions for everybody who follows along. Dan, why don't you tell us just a little bit about kind of who you are, your background, and how you got to where you are today?
Sure. Yeah. Dan Curran. I own the Chick-fil-A in Harbour View. It's the one in northern Suffolk. We've been there for 10 years. I actually had a Chick-fil-A for 3 years prior to that in Cleveland. That was a story in itself. I'm the guy that can make a Chick-fil-A and not make any money. So that was our time in the desert. Prior to that, I was actually a lumber salesman and home builder for 30 years. So this is like a second career, second life for me. Totally out of my comfort zone. Had never worked a day in a restaurant until I bought one. So that was pretty fun. That was a learning curve. Married to my wife, Deb. We've been married for 34 years, have 5 children. All of them live outside of Virginia. They're all, one's a cowboy living in Montana on a horse ranch, and 3 of them are in doctoral programs, and one's getting ready for one. So my wife homeschooled them all. So homeschooling does work.
Wow.
I stayed out of the way. So I could say that when we homeschooled, really she did it. So yeah, we've been in Virginia 10 years and have a Chick-fil-A here and just love it. Just love it.
My goodness. So how many years collectively have you been a business owner? You said you 30 some odd years in the lumber business?
Yeah, I've built homes, but that was really just more for fun, for ourselves. I built all of our own homes, and so I wasn't really doing it for others. But I was in lumber sales, and that was a straight commission job, like straight commission. Wow. Sales to professionals. So if you were going to do, if you were the builder that was going to do 25 subdivisions or 1,000 condominiums, I was the guy that did all that and figured out the lumber, what it took to build it, and all that stuff. And that was fun. That was fun for a long time. So even though I was working for a corporation at that time, I really was like a sole entity. I was just on my own, made my own, set my own goals, made my own time, and set the limits where potential was. So it felt a lot like being self-employed. I've been with Chick-fil-A for 13 years, so 10 years here, 3 years in Ohio.
Wow, goodness. What do you think is something that business owners, as they're getting into the business, that they tend to overlook in the early years?
I think everybody sort of recognizes it, but I don't think anybody can overestimate how much time you have to put into opening a business. It's consuming. It is, at least for me it was, and I'm kind of a type A guy. Like I got to be hands-on at least, but I was working 18 hours a day when I first opened my first Chick-fil-A up in Ohio, mostly because it wasn't, we stepped into it. It was a difficult situation. It was not profitable at all for 3 years. And so I was the guy that had to fix it. I was the owner. I was the one with the vision. I was the one that had to define success. And so it was on my shoulders. I had moved my family from Michigan to Ohio to do this, and quit a job that I was making a lot of money and started a job where I was making no money. And I mean, it was, so the amount of time, the amount of personal effort that you have to put into it can't be overestimated, because you got to do what you got to do. I mean, nobody else is there to fix it. You're the one that has to fix it.
Yeah. What was it about those days? I would imagine you had days like most business owners do when you just want to throw your hands up and call it done and move on. What is it that kept you showing up every day, pushing through, trying to persevere?
I would guess, I know. I'm fairly tenacious. I hate to lose, and I'm sure most people are that way, but the idea of failure wasn't an option. I mean, I had to do what I had to do to make this work. to the point where, I mean, those first 6 months I was in business in Ohio, I lost 27 pounds.
Yeah.
I was killing myself. I was working every day, 18, 19 hours a day, opening the store at 5 in the morning, closing it, you know, and not getting home till midnight, 1 o'clock. But my main motivation was my family. I mean, I was the dad. I was the sole breadwinner, and I had moved them to another state, uprooted them from their lives, and we had done it partly as a life example. What I wanted my children, what my wife and I both wanted our children to know, was that you can't be afraid, that you have to be willing to step through those doors when they open up, and whatever it takes. I mean, move forward. My dad always used to say, never burn a bridge, blow it up. And by that he meant, if you are focused totally on moving forward, then success is the only option, right? You can't go back. And so that was kind of where we were at. We had taken on this new venture, moving our family, starting a new business, all that stuff, partly as a life example to our children, that I wanted them years from now to be able to say, you know what, Grandpa was fearless. And, you know, we stepped out of our comfort at middle age. I was 45 years old when I started a new business, and just had to succeed, right? And so that was the example we wanted to set for them, was don't be afraid, just do it.
Wow.
Just do it.
Wow. Is there any way that you tried to mitigate risks as you move forward within owning a business?
Well,
Or
yeah,
is it just risky?
you know, business is risky. It just is. But that's why people have franchises. I don't, you know, for me, the risk mitigation was, I knew I wanted to do this, but I didn't have to be the subject matter expert in every facet of the business. You know, it was turnkey as far as, you know, I didn't design the building. I didn't come up with the menu items for Chick-fil-A. All I have to do is perform well. And so therein lies the advantage of a franchise, in that I don't have to be the guy that decides what wall colors are most appealing to customers in a dining situation. That stuff is all sort of thought out by people that are experts in that stuff. So I would call that mitigation. I mean, I wouldn't have wanted to just start, you know, Dan's hot dog restaurant on my own without knowing anything about it.
Yeah, which I think speaks to another question of how important is finding the right team members to come alongside of you to finding success within the business world.
It's everything. I mean, to me, and I would say Chick-fil-A's model is that it's all about the people. It's all about the people. We just happen to be a restaurant, but we're a people business. And so at the beginning of a business, when you're first starting something out, you have to be the one as the leader. You have to be the one that is casting the vision, right? And that's what we do as leaders, is that we invite people along on a journey with us. And we're saying that, and this is a difficult thing, by the way, that here's where we're at. Here's where you've been at. And you're comfortable, and it's familiar, and change is scary, but this is better. This is more, and I'm going there. I'd like you to come with me, right? We're inviting them along on that current state, future state, and all the action steps that it takes to get there. So the people that we bring into the business, and certainly the people that we elevate to leadership, are critically important, because again, at the beginning, as the leader, I have to have the vision for success. I have to have that compelling vision for a future that others will want to go along with me, right? I'm inviting them. But as time goes on, I become the cap. If I don't get out of the way, I very quickly become the limit. My talents, my abilities, my perspective becomes the limit to what my business can achieve. And so I need to find people that are smart, but smart in different ways than I am. Smart in all of the other areas where, like for marketing, I know my business needs to market. I know we need to do stuff. I know when I see it and it's done well, I would never be the social media guy. I would never be the one to put on an event at our restaurant and run it well. You know, the details that make things come out well. So it's a matter, that's critical to answer your question, is that is the most important thing. And that's really mostly what I do now. We don't hire anybody that I don't interview final. We have 3 interviews before you work at a Chick-fil-A Harbour View. 2 of them are my leaders, and they sort of ask all the questions, and then they forward it to me just for that, what I do in an interview is I mostly cast vision, and I just ask a couple questions, and then mostly sort of talk about culture and talk about why we do what we do. Then I look for the light bulb to go on. And if it goes on, you're probably going to like working with us. And if not, there's nothing I can do to make you.
Wow. No, that's really good. You just mentioned creating a culture of success. What is a key component, do you think, within creating the culture that you want to operate within, or you want other people to operate within? Can you talk about culture just for a few seconds?
Yeah, culture is king. I mean, it is what we are doing is we are setting a standard, right? And we're saying this, it's like we have our flag, and this is what we're writing on our flag. And we're inviting others again to sort of follow that flag. Those things that you write on the flag have to be relevant. They have to resonate with others. They have to be things that people are willing to commit to, right? And so we talk at our restaurant all the time about honor, dignity, and respect. That's how we want to treat each other, because if we begin with treating each other that way, then it becomes a more natural outflow than for us to treat our guests that way. We talk about kindness and generosity. We want to treat our guests with kindness. We want to look for ways, to maybe make somebody's day just a little bit better. I mean, it's just a chicken sandwich, it's just, so let's do that well, first and foremost, because that's what earns us a right. But culture, it's got to be, I would keep it succinct. I don't like, my vision statement is eyes up, hearts open. And so the idea of that is if you have a vision statement that's 3 paragraphs long, can you recite it? And if you can't recite it, can your team recite it? And it might have a lot of really cool concepts and words in it, but it's got to be visceral. It's got to be something people can connect with and move forward with. And so we can constantly, it's a touchstone. We can constantly come back to it and say, hey, did that fit into that? Is that what we're about? Is that how you should be reacting to the situation? And constantly bring people back to it. So culture is critical. It's of utmost importance.
Yeah, and I would echo that when I walk into your Chick-fil-A, which is my neighborhood Chick-fil-A, it's not just something that you're saying to the people that are going to be watching this. It truly is the culture of Chick-fil-A at large, but really within your Chick-fil-A. It is, I have seen your employees and your workers bend down to tie little kids' shoes or sit and talk with a mom and their kid, not just dropping off food and running back. And Dan, your place is busy, but they have their eyes, are open and their hearts are open. And it truly is the way that you guys do business. Quick question, is there a specific moment in your career that has impacted you more than others? Is there just a specific moment that sticks out, whether good or bad, that has kind of shaped how you continue to navigate business?
Yeah, I mean, one that just comes to mind immediately really changed the way I interact with my team. And it was about 6 months after we had opened the restaurant in Virginia here. And we were doing great. I mean, we were selling more than we had ever thought we would. We were at a much higher volume than had been anticipated. The problem was I had an untrained staff. 6 months isn't enough time to have everybody up to speed with the precision and the anticipation and the communication that you need to be a well-oiled machine. So we would do well, and we would be having a super busy lunch, and then from 12 to 1 would be busy, and from 1 to 2, and then all of a sudden we'd be waiting on something. They ran out of nuggets. Where it's going to be 5 minutes for nuggets, and 5 minutes is like a lifetime. So I would, okay, hey, I'm the guy, and I would run into the kitchen and I would help them, because our screens, they start out green, and then at 2 minutes they turn yellow, and then at 4 minutes they turn red. So I was like, I have a visceral response. It's a Pavlovian response when I see red, and my heart starts beating and my blood pressure. So I'd run in the kitchen and hey guys, and I'd help them, and I'd whatever was needed, and then I'd run back. So, okay, we're good, and I'd run back out and do my thing. So this had been going on for a few months, and happened again on a whatever day it was. I run into the kitchen, and as I turn the corner, I look at the guys that were in the production area, and they looked up at me, and they just went, and they never said a word. It wasn't get out of here or anything, but it was just, they deflated, and it was visible. And I looked at that, and I realized, you know what? I'm not the guy that's coming in here to support the team, to raise them up. I'm the guy that's coming in and telling them, you can't do this without me. And so I forced myself from then on to step back. And again, as leaders, that's what we need to do. We need to find good people and then train them and then trust them and then train them some more. And that is what gets us to where you want to go, because it gets them to where they want to be. You know, it's like making your kids' bed for them. You can, sure, I can make my kids' beds way better than they can, but they'll never learn. So that was a moment for me where it just completely changed how I approach everything. And now, you know, anytime somebody comes to me, I'm sort of like the old guy now. I'm hands off. Somebody comes out, hey, Mr. Dan, this, that, and the other thing. We got a problem with this. What should we do? And I'll go, I don't know. What do you think we should do? Oh, I think we should. Okay, go try that. And if it doesn't work, come back and see me. We'll figure something else out. But this way, they have ownership. And we talk about that a lot in our restaurant. It's all about ownership. Every week, or a focus is another word we use. Every single leader in my restaurant has ownership of some aspect of the business, or a focus. You know, it might be food safety, it might be cleanliness, it might be speed of service, whatever they're passionate about. And I let them pick it, because I'm not going to dictate to them what they should be happy about doing. But then, okay, that's your thing. Tell me how we're going to measure that. Tell me how we're going to win. How do we get better? And then let's look again tomorrow.
That's incredible. Dan, that's worth the price of admission right there. Just with that statement. Man, how has navigating being a business owner in pandemic been? And you and I were talking about this just a little bit. A crazy circumstance wound up happening for you, but you still have this business that's going during a time when everything is shut down. How's it been?
Not fun. I mean, we're just in the same boat with everybody else. You know, we're trying to figure this out. This like life-changing thing that's happening. You know, that I'm sure everybody's heard is the stories I always hear is that this is this generation's 9/11 or this generation's Pearl Harbor. And I think it is. When you think about 9/11, when we came out of that, life was different. You know, you don't step onto airplanes with a pocket knife anymore. And we get used to the idea of waiting an hour or 2 hours at an airport to go through a line it's just life now. You get used to it. So there will be things that are different after this. That's okay. I think maybe America will be a little bit cleaner place, right? We're all going to wash our hands more often and sanitize things. So for me, we're shut down for remodeling right now. That's what's sort of unusual for us. We're reopening in about 3 weeks and probably just drive-through only, because I don't suspect that the dining rooms are going to be allowed to be open yet. But I've got 100 going into the close down. I had 110 employees, and some of them high school kids. They just decided to stay home. Hey, you know, I don't need to be exposed. No problem. You know, but I've got probably 50 something adult full-time team members or managers that are working at other Chick-fil-A's right now. So we probably for 2 months in advance had to do all the legwork for trying to find, hey, can you take this person their kitchen full-time day? You know, getting everybody set to where they can know that they've got a paycheck coming. Because again, with change comes fear. And even when it's good change, it's scary because it's different. So that idea of trying to alleviate as much of my team's apprehensions and trepidation, just to take that off their plate so that they knew, okay, hey, you're gonna work here Friday. Starting on Monday, you're gonna be at this store. You're gonna get this many hours. You're gonna pay your bills, no problem. So we've got that. The second part of that is that we're trying to hire right now. I'm actually in the process of hiring 40 people. So, I mean, in the weeks that we've been shut, I think we're up to about 20 right now. I need to hire another 20-ish full-time, you know, day and evening people. And so all of that process doing it by video, you know, I'm doing all these interviews, hiring people by video. I've never done that in my life. So we're working through all of the weirdness of that. Still having meetings with all of my senior directors via Zoom that, you know, I'm paying all of them their full wage just to be available. And I've got them doing some of the interviews. And so all of that is sort of secondary to team member safety. So everything we're doing as we're planning for reopening is, how am I going to keep my team safe when we've got 2,000 2,500 to 3,000 transactions a day, probably now coming through the drive-through. How do I keep them safe? What are all of the systems that we need to plan ahead in both directions, keeping the team members safe as well as keeping the customers, knowing secure that what they're getting is a good, safe product. So that's all the stuff that we're talking through right now, is everything that we've got to do. All the T's have to be crossed, all the I's got to be dotted, plus all the regular food safety things that we do, because chicken is, we have to be very, very careful with chicken, how we handle it and stuff. So
yeah. My goodness, man, you guys
can't
have your
fail.
hands
I mean, there are some systems that have zero tolerance for failure. Zero tolerance.
Yeah, no doubt.
That's what we're gonna do.
Hey, just before we go, is there any last piece of advice that you would give business owners that maybe you wished you would have had earlier on? If you thought, man, if I would have known, then what I know now, this could have really helped me, things could have been different. Is there any piece of advice as we get ready to go that you can pour into everybody as young business owners?
Yeah, yeah, sure. Yeah, I would say there are two components, in my opinion anyway. There are two components that are necessary in any career to take it from a good job to a satisfying career. The first of which is prosperity, right? Or if you want to start a business, probably your foundational and fundamental idea is, let's make some money doing this, right? You're not, unless it's a nonprofit, but the idea is that, how do I make a living doing this? How am I doing this how do I support my family? I got kids that need to eat every day, kind of stuff. So there is nothing wrong with making money. I'm a capitalist. I own a restaurant. I want to make money.
Sure.
But, and I should say early on, for most folks, I would say that's probably enough. Young people getting a job, it's about making money. It's about making more money. And that disparity between how much money you make versus how much time you have to invest in it is recognized as success, right? That's sort of the description of success. As time goes on, though, it's not enough. As people mature, what you find is that, sure, you do have to have those things. We all want to have vacations and cars and homes and stuff. But at the end of my life, ultimately what I want to hear is, well done, good and faithful servant. And I don't really care at that point how many chicken sandwiches I sold or how many cars I got through an hour drive through in an hour. What's going to be important to me is, what are all of the legacy things? And that's the second thing. What is my legacy? How am I remembered? Is my community stronger because I was here? Are my staff members better off in their lives? Have they achieved things that perhaps they didn't even know they could achieve because they worked for me? What is the footprint that's being left? And sort of the ripple effect. I always do this, sort of the ripple effect thing of my life, of our time here. And so ultimately, if you can have the prosperity side of things, great. But unless you have the legacy side of things, you'll never be satisfied. So that would be my thing, is if you can find something, and I found it with Chick-fil-A, I can make money, but I can have a positive impact on people's days and in their lives. It's just chicken. I mean, it's just a small way, but every day, every transaction, every customer in that door or through that drive-through has something going on in their day. And we have a chance to have, maybe it's a kind word, maybe it's a smile, maybe it's something free, but why not do that? Why not do that? And then that is what makes it worthwhile.
That's incredible. And again, you are someone who doesn't just say the things. You live that way. You have taken my girls behind the counter to fix ice cream, and they remember that just about every time we walk in there. You've created a memory for them, and so it's so much more than just money. That's something they'll remember forever. Dan, thank you so much for spending time with us this afternoon. I know you got a lot going on, but we are so grateful to have your wisdom. And I can't wait to have you sometime, hopefully in the fall, when we can all get back together for one of our live sessions to just have more time to pour wisdom into us. Guys, Dan is one of the greatest leaders that I've ever encountered. And I've been sitting with him now for quite a few years, whether it be in a Chick-fil-A bench or sitting in a sunroom at a friend's house, just sitting and listening to Dan's wisdom. And so, buddy, we're so very grateful for a little bit of your time today. And thank you so much on behalf of Gray Goat Creative. and all the people that have watched, thank you for taking time for us today. We truly appreciate you.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
All right, see you, bud. Thank you. Wow, man, I hope you enjoyed listening to Dan talk a little bit today, just about life, business, and how to make it through tough times. So thank you so much for joining us today, man. I hope you found this resource helpful. If there's anything that we can do for you on this journey, man, reach out to us. We'd love to help you navigate through this, whether you are a business owner or whether you're somebody who wants to start a business. You've had a dream of starting a business. You just didn't know where to start. We'd really love to help you. Thanks for watching today. Can't wait to be back together. We can do our live co-host sessions. Dan will be with us in the fall. So get ready for that. But hey, we love you. We appreciate you. Can't wait to reach out and hear from you soon. See ya.